Ms. Low Yen Ling.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the President for her address to this House. Singapore has always been a place of promise and possibilities, attracting many ashore, and today we continue to create new opportunities for Singaporeans from all walks of life. President Halima's address has set out our vision towards developing a vibrant economy that invests in the skills and talent of our people. We aspire to be a caring and inclusive nation at the workplace too. We envisage a Singapore where young graduates, older workers and women have ample opportunities to discover their potential and have a fulfilling work life. Last Sunday was Mother's Day, and my family celebrated it with a simple meal with my 67-year-old mother. She has always been our pillar of strength, and despite her age, she insists on working because it keeps her going. She had worked throughout her life, dancing a delicate balance between family commitments and her job when we were younger, and later caring for my aging grandmother. Like her, and like many mothers, we want the best for our family, and at the same time, we strive to give our all at home and at work. Thankfully, Singaporean women today are better positioned to juggle between the worlds of home and work, as we are starting from a higher vantage point than before. Over the years, Singaporean women have made strides in education and at work. Last year, more women than men graduated with a first degree from our local universities. We had about 8,200 female graduates compared to 7,700 males. Close to 40% of those who graduated from STEM courses in our homegrown universities comprise of women. More than a third of our STEM poly graduates are also female. More women are now in workforce. Our female employment rate has grown from 64% in 2007 to 72% in 2017. In terms of women in full-time employment, we are now ranked 6th when compared with the OECD nations. With meritocracy and better education, our women are inching up the gender pay gap. In 2017, women in our resident workforce in general earned 9% less than men. This places us in the company of the top 10 OECD countries and ahead of nations like Australia, Germany, UK, and the US. Median incomes of women in occupations like accountants, securities, and finance brokers were higher than men. However, we still have some way to go. I agree with Ms. Cheryl Chan, with Ms. Thanalakshmi, and Ms. Tin Pei Ling that there is more to be done to encourage women to remain in the workforce. While our full-time employment rate for women is ranked highly compared to the other OECD countries, our part-time employment rate is not. We want to close this gap as much as possible because employers as well as female employees stand to gain from flexible work arrangement, FWAs. Companies that offer FWAs do better in attracting and retaining the best talent. In addition, a survey in 2016 found that majority of such companies reported higher employee staff morale and improved productivity. Women who have the options of FWAs do not need to choose between full-time work and zero-time work. And they are able to stay in touch with the marketplace with their skills and with their experience. Instead of having our women opt out of work, we want to empower our women with choices to opt in and stay in the workforce. With the right support, women can have the chance to fulfill both our family and also our career aspirations. However, we also know that it is not easy for all companies to offer FWAs due to specific work conditions or rigid working hours. Several MPs, including Ms. Cheryl Chan, Dr. Intan, and Ms. Thanalakshmi, spoke passionately in the House on this topic, with ideas to legislate FWAs or other family support leave entitlements. These suggestions are not new, and we know that laws alone do not change social behaviors and mindset. Our approach is a practical one, combining legislation and promotional efforts. In addition, advances in technology and communication can also help to facilitate FWAs. MOM is strongly committed to growing the number of companies with FWAs. Firstly, we are enhancing the WorkPro Work-Life Grant with 30 million Sing dollars to encourage and help more employers provide FWAs. The grant also provides additional support for job-sharing arrangements in recognition that it is harder for employers to provide this type of FWA. Secondly, we will encourage more employers to adopt tripartite standards on FWAs, which set the benchmark for organizations and employees to achieve more flexible work options. To date, more than 500 employers with about 300,000 employees have adopted this standard. These employers have publicly pledged to offer FWAs, and each of them will appoint a senior management member to champion FWA in their organization. They are committed to exploring alternative arrangements with their employee should there be difficulties in forming FWA in their company. So, MOM, we want to encourage employers who have not pledged their support to do so. With effect from 5th of May 2018, companies can now sign up onto the tripartite standards through the Jobs Bank. Previously, they can only do so through the TAFEC website. With one more additional platform, it is really now a lot easier for companies to adopt the standards. Thirdly, MOM will continue to promote FWAs as part and parcel of the modern work life. In today's age of technology and Internet of Things, managers, supervisors, and co-workers can no longer equate face-to-face time and physical presence at work with an employee's capability. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, we really need a mindset change that respects, a mindset change that provides, a mindset change that supports choices and supports flexibility at work. This cultural shift will also mean that someone who put up a request for part-time work or put up a request for flexible work will not be deemed as a lesser employee. Together with our tripartite partners, we will press on to deepen and also widen our efforts to support Singaporean women at work by making FWAs more pervasive and also across the board. Women will have more power to make choices for ourselves and our families, and also the freedom to belong to the workplace as long as we wish to. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to say something about the age-inclusive workforce and society. I want to thank Mr. Ng Chee Meng and Mr. Heng Chee Hao for their heartfelt and also insightful thoughts on how we can help older Singaporeans stay employable and also adaptable and continue to be valuable contributors to our workplace and to our society. This resonates with what the fourth generation leaders envision for an inclusive, a caring Singapore workforce. Throughout the years, we have made progress in supporting our older workers' choice to work. In the last decade, the employment rate of residents aged 55 years old to 64 years old has grown from 56% in 2007 to 67% in 2017. This places Singapore ninth place when compared to the OECD countries and higher than countries such as Australia, Korea, US, and the UK. Since re-employment laws were introduced in 2012, over 98% of private sector local employees who wish to continue working at 62 years old were offered re-employment. The vast majority of those who accepted re-employment in the same job did not experience any cut in the basic wages. 67 years old Ms. Margaret Tan is one of our older workers who has been with Mandarin Oriental Hotel for the past 14 years. As a senior guest service manager, she leads a team of over 80 staff. She's a keen learner. She earned 2 specialist diploma in the last 2 years. When she was 65 years old, she embarked on a specialist diploma, and within 2 years, she earned 2 specialist diploma. The first one is in leadership and people, the other one in service excellence. As Mr. Heng Chee Hao pointed out, it takes 2 hands to clap. We need willing, we need far-sighted employers as well as able and also active older employees to join hands and make our workplace age inclusive. Like Mandarin Oriental Hotel, employers that embrace progressive workplace practices which prioritize a person's ability over his or her age, they really stand to gain from the deep experience, they stand to gain from the reliability, and they stand to gain from the loyalty that our mature workers will bring with them. Older Singaporeans who are ready to adapt and keen on learning, like Ms. Margaret Tan, make it attractive for employers to see their potential and view them as valuable assets. I agree with Mr. Ng Chee Meng and also Mr. Heng Chee Hao and also Dr. Chia Shi Lu that ageism has absolutely no place in our society or even workplace. MOM will focus our resources to support companies to unlock the potential of our older workers. We will do so in 3 ways. Firstly, we will continue to provide funding support to employers to redesign their workplace and make the jobs of older workers easier, safer, and smarter. Secondly, we will enable and encourage employers to publicly commit to making their workplaces more age-friendly. Thirdly, we will push for more age-inclusive behavior and move towards eradicating ageism. Mr. Speaker, sir, for a nation with no natural resources, every citizen, young or old, is an important asset. In President Halima's words, and I quote, "This small multicultural city-state must survive and thrive on the wits and will of its people," unquote. I believe our young Singaporeans have the potential to keep this red dot going strong. We have invested in their education, knowledge, and skills, and will continue to give them the age to hold their own when they start their careers. Today, the employment rate of our fresh graduates is healthy. About 90% of those from the autonomous universities and polytechnics, and 85% for ITE graduates. According to a 2016 graduate employment survey, a good majority of new graduates in full-time permanent employment are also employed in jobs related to their fields of study. And that is 81% for autonomous university and 72% for poly graduates. In addition, the gross median salary of PSEI graduates surveyed approximately 6 months after their final exams is also on an upward trend. We will continue to strengthen our efforts to help our new graduates maximize their potential to achieve positive employment outcome. In a fast-paced and in a changing world, they need to be well armed with information and also knowledge to navigate upcoming trends and future-proof themselves for what is ahead. The rise of the gig economy and also disruptions to traditional occupations threw up a diversity of work options that graduates didn't used to have. With this in mind, we have deepened our work on 3 fronts. Firstly, information. We have extended the annual snapshot of employment outcomes for fresh graduates on what is known as the Graduate Employment Survey to cover all private education institutions with full-time employment programs. This allows our graduates to make better informed decisions on their choice to work or to further their studies. Secondly, career guidance. MOM keeps a pulse check on the career trends and the aspirations of students from our universities, polytechnics, and ITE. We work closely with the MOE to guide the students in their career and education choices. A structured education and career guidance ECG curriculum and access to ECG-trained counselors, teachers, and lecturers help our students discover their strengths and their career interests. In addition, tools such as the My Skills Future portal, as well as internships, learning journeys, mentorships, and career talks, all this form an immersive experience to help our young graduates gain a better understanding of the industries that they are trained for. Thirdly, job search. We will boost the job search skills of our graduating students and enhance their lifelong learning career planning with a new Career Starter program. Offered by the Workforce Singapore in collaboration with our autonomous universities, polytechnics, and ITEs, this new initiative will also offer job search-related training workshops, industry engagement opportunities, virtual and physical career fairs, job raffles, and also post-placement support. More details will be shared at a later stage. Mr. Speaker, sir, our young graduates benefit from a good education system in Singapore. Please allow me to respond to Mr. Peng Eng Huat's point, some of the points that he raised earlier. I want to assure him that all schools are subject to the same level of funding for capital expenditures such as infrastructure and IT, and operating costs such as manpower and repairs. All schools can also receive additional funding for special programs such as electives, overseas trips for experiential learning. However, there is differential funding for building of facilities. For standard facilities such as indoor hall or basketball courts, government schools will be funded 100%, while the government-aided and independent schools have to raise funds to co-fund some of this facility. So this is actually contrary to what Mr. Peng has mentioned earlier. Now, I must also add that MOE does not fund non-standard facilities such as tennis courts. We approve the building of non-standard facilities on a case-by-case basis, provided there is significant education value to our students, and the schools will have to raise funds to fully pay for these facilities. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to say a few words in Mandarin. 新加坡一直是个充满机遇的国家，每一位国人，无论是人生的起跑点、背景，都能有机会发挥所长，有所作为。人力部希望做到的是，让所有的新加坡人可以无论年龄或者是性别，按照自己的意愿和能力继续工作。要帮助我们的员工，无论是男、女、老、少，能够在工作岗位上有所成就，需要许多方面的改变。哪一些改变呢？首先，我们的员工必须改变心态，拥抱新科技，还有接受新改革，不断的提升和晋升自己的技能，这样才可以维持我们自己的竞争力。如果所有的员工都愿意提升现有的技能以及掌握新的技术，与时俱进，生产力和效率也能够跟得上时代的要求。我相信职场上的性别和年龄歧视等等的现象也会逐渐的消失。第二，雇主应该改变思维，考虑一下我们企业的长远利益，遵循进步开明的人力资源准则，培养我们员工的向心力，来吸引和留住我们的人才。在这方面，人力部将集中我们的资源，支持公司和企业提供灵活工作安排，帮助妇女能够同时兼顾到我们的事业和家庭，在这个两方面都一样美满成功。第三，我们的社会应该改变成见，支持更加包容的职场文化，更加多元的劳动队伍。对于年轻一代，我们必须提供足够的支持，让青年毕业生有机会发挥所长，为他们开拓和发掘更多的就业或培训的路径，帮助我们的年轻人建立起最大的竞争优势。议长先生，成就和成功不一定只有一条路，不一定只是一种方式，这和我们教育部的多途径新机遇的理念是一致的。我们相信，只要国人能够发挥各自的强项，在各自擅长的领域里力争上游，就一定能够取得成功。我刚加入人力部的这个团队，那非常期待和雇主还有我们的雇员们和社群共同合作，打造一个更加包容的劳动队伍。我也相信，和来自各个领域的机构、各个阶层的国人探讨如何携手推动一个更积极、更加开明、包容、共融的职场文化。Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Deputy Speaker, amid an uncertain external environment, we can hold fast to our foundation of meritocracy and also inclusion, as well as joint aspirations for success. Together, we can forge opportunities for all in the workplace, including women and the young, as well as the old. With a receptive mindset, our workers can embrace learning, can embrace new trends, and adapt to stay relevant throughout changing times. Employers who invest in progressive work practices with foresight and with courage, they will attract the best talents, and they are able to move their organizations forward. So really, we need all of society, everyone, to support a culture of inclusion at the workplace with kindness, with understanding, and with openness. We are our nation's best practices. Let me say that again. We are our nation's best resources. We may be small, But when we come together, we are bigger than the sums of all our dreams and all our hopes. So we can afford to be bold, because with inclusiveness, we become stronger. We have started on the road to progress, so let us not set limits on ourselves, but together, let us blaze the future for a Singapore unlimited. I support the motion. Thank you.